Hello, everyone. Wishing you all a very good afternoon. I hope you are all fine, safe, healthy, happy. Can you see me? Am I audible, visible to all of you? Video running fine, audio running fine. Can anyone raise hands? Okay, Shikar, great. Okay, so I think today is 25th, and I think tomorrow is your JE mains, right? Is tomorrow your JE mains? 26th, I think, is starting, the next attempt is starting from 26th onwards, right? Isn't it? When do you have your exams, everyone? Sai, Jayant, Brijesh, Shrikar. When do you have your JE mains exam? What date? 26, 27. When do they start? One has replied. 27, Jayan. 27, Brijesh, for you as well. Okay. You must be feeling a bit nervous. Okay, it's okay to feel a bit nervous. Shikar, Jayant, Tita, what were your percentile in the last attempt? Or what has been your best percentile up till now? All the three attempts. I hope you have given all the three. Sai Teja, Jayant, Brijesh, Shikar. What have been your then 94.6. Okay, 94.6. So you must have got somewhere in the range of 100 to 110 maybe, right? What about the others? Brijesh, Jayant, Srikar, Sai Teja. What have been your results? Anyways, just tell you a few pointers about what you should do and what you should not do. Say, for example, depending on your preparation and how you have done things, you may not have the best of preparation till now. Whatever you are getting, say I assume that you are getting your marks somewhere in the range of, let me see, let me just do this whiteboard first. For example, you are getting your marks in the previous attempts, you have been getting your marks, say, somewhere in the range from 100 to, say, 150. This is one range. Then 150 to 200. Let us say this is another range. Then 200 to 250. That would be in higher 90s. And 250 plus would be 99 percentile and above. You are getting somewhere in this range from 100 to 150. 100 to 150 means you are getting somewhere around 40 to 45 questions. Somewhere around 40 to 45 questions you are attempting somewhere in that range, and somewhere in that range, and 5 to 10 questions. This have been your attempt. If you are somewhere in the range of 100 to 150 marks, you must be knowing your marks. So you are basically attempting 40 to 45 questions, and you are getting somewhere around 8 to 10 wrong answers. So end up that would end up somewhere around 100 to 150 ka range. Talking about this one, 150 to 200. 150 to 200 means how much? You're getting somewhere around 50 to 60 questions out of the possible 75. You're attempting them, and you are getting somewhere around 10 to 15 of those wrong. So you will end up somewhere between 150 to 200. I think that is the overall range of the students that we are having here in this course. Anyways, if you fall in any of these two categories, which I think you must be, now somewhere around 200 is a good score. It's a good score. As I told you in some class, maybe if you're getting somewhere in 220 plus range or 225 plus range, that will get you up into 99 percentile. You have asked me many times that, sir, how do I get into that 99 percentile range? So 225 is your target score. Let us say, for example, now you cannot drastically jump. Say you are getting 120, you cannot drastically jump and get 225. That is out of that, not possible in this short span of 1 month or 2 months. But yeah, you can obviously, if you're getting somewhere around 150, you can get to somewhere around 180, 190. That is definitely possible. But to make it possible, you must understand that what is your higher side that you can get the marks. If you think that your higher side, the highest side that you can achieve is 200, there is no point of attempting all the 75 questions that you have in your paper. Remember, don't have to attempt 75 questions. No, don't have to attempt 75 questions to get to 200. Because if you're attempting 75 questions, what is going to happen, beta, is you will be doing a lot of questions wrong. Now, in these 75 questions, if you attempt, and for example, your 30 questions are wrong and 40 questions and 45 questions are right, even that will not get you 200. Because when you attempt 75 questions in 3 hours, you spend very less time per question and your marks will fall drastically. Drastically. But now, picture this. If you only attempt, say, 55 questions, 55 to 60, that is a realistic range that any average student should be able to get. See, exams, JEE Mains is not about studying only. It's about a strategy of attempting the paper. You must be very clear about your strategy of attempting the paper. Your strategy about attempting the paper must be 96.4 Teja. Okay, 96.4. So I think you would be somewhere in the range of 200, 180 to 200 to 220. That would be your range. 96, 95, 96 should be range. Maybe less than 200. I don't know the last attempt. It's not about studies only. It's about studying smartly and attempting questions smartly. 200. Anything in the range of 200 is a pretty good score. That will get you probably a good NIT or a good branch in an NIT. So there are two things that you must aim for. The first one is the college. Which college do you aspire to get into? The second one is the branch. Which branch that you want? The third one is the college that you aspire plus the branch that you aspire realistically. Now, to get into this third category, college plus branch, you must be somewhere in the range of 240 plus. And you would definitely be able to get your college as well as your branch. If you want to get any one of this, you must be somewhere around 180 to 220. 180 to 220 marks, and you must get at least one of these. At least one of these. Either the college of your choice or the branch of your choice in any NIT. So, realistically speaking, if I would suggest you what you should be aiming at this point in time, or for students in general at any point in time, once you have understood how much has been your preparation, you must be aiming at a score somewhere around 200, plus minus 5, plus minus 10, plus minus 5, plus minus 10. And it is very evident from what I have drawn here, what I have written here, that if you only aspire 200, which is a very great score, now to get 250, if you are trying to get 250 and you end up getting 160, that is of no use. You aspire for 200 and you get somewhere around 180, 190, that is good enough. That will give you a good college or a good branch, or maybe a good college with a good branch. You must be aspiring somewhere in the range of 50 to 60 questions. If you attempt the minimum here, 50, now your percentage of wrong should be very less. If you're attempting only 50 questions in a span of 180 minutes, you get a lot of time to think about those questions. If I give you 3 minutes per question here, you only spend 150 minutes and you have still 30 minutes left to do the other questions. 3 minutes per question is a lot of time, because in chemistry you would not be requiring that much of time. Chemistry 20 questions, hardly 40 minutes. So if you're only attempting 50 questions, you can do that in well under 150 minutes. 30 minutes still would be left with you to attempt the remaining question to get probably your marks higher. If you attempt 50 questions, the maximum number of wrongs that you can do is 4 to 5. 4 to 5. Suppose you do 5 wrong. So how many are right? 5 are right. 45 are right. 45 multiplied by 4 will give you 180. 180 minus 5, you will end up somewhere in 175 range. 175. If you attempt only 50 questions, you will be somewhere around 175. It's a pretty good score. Pretty good score. You have 3 minutes per question. You still have 30 minutes left at the end of the clock. Now, in those 30 minutes, if you can even get 5 questions correct, 5 fours are 20. That gives you plus 20, and you arrive at your dream score of 195. See, very simple. Are you all understanding what you got to do, how you got to do it? It's not about doing questions randomly, doing a lot of questions. Or if I do a lot of questions, I'll get a lot of marks. No, if you do a lot of questions, you will get very less marks. Are you getting me? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this, sir? It's very important for you to understand how you should attempt the paper in order to get the maximum possible from the limited resources that you have had, or the limited time that you have right now, maybe 1 or 2 days. Are you all understanding this? Everyone, Srikar, Jyoti, Brijesh, Ashrit, Jayant, Sai Teja. Now, what am I telling you is what have I acquired over a period of 20-21 years from my experience of 25,000 students that have gone into IITs and NITs, and I've learned from them. So that should be your aim. 50 to 60 maximum is what you're going to attempt. Minimum 50. The maximum number of wrongs can be 4 to 5. You will end up with 30 minutes still in your hands. You can get 4 to 5 questions in that one. Mark those questions which you think you're not sure about, but you can solve it if you get time. Do not spend more than 2 minutes on one question in the first go. Save some time at the last. At least 30 minutes should be there with you at the last. So your paper, your main attempt of the paper should finish in 2 hours and 30 minutes. For example, if your shift is at 9 o'clock, at 11:30, you must be done with at least 50 questions, and you should be able to do it. Somewhere around 50 questions, you must be able to do it. Out of those 50, I'm sure if you are doing correctly, at least 42 to 45 questions will be correct. 42 to 45 will be correct. You add another 5 to 7 questions from the last 30 minutes, and you will end up somewhere around 185 plus. Simple strategy. There are, out of these 45 questions, out of these 75 questions, 25 each, there are at least 30 to 35 questions, at least somewhere around half, 30 to 35 questions, which can be done in less than 2 minutes because they are straightforward. Less than 2 minutes, whether it is maths, physics, or chemistry. 30 to 35 questions can be done in less than 2 minutes. If I take the higher limit as 35 questions can be done in 2 minutes, so that is 70 minutes. So in 70 minutes, you must be able to do 35 easy questions. 70 minutes, 35 easy questions. Now you are left with only 15 questions, which are moderately tough. For those 15 questions, if I subtract 170 from 150, you will be left with 80 minutes to solve these 15. You see, you have a lot of time in your hands. The correct strategy of doing the paper, and you can make a difference to your life. Don't target 70-75 questions. That's an unrealistic target. You won't be able to achieve it. And then you will end up with 110 or 120. That will not serve any useful purpose. Do you all understand this? Can I have some reason that you understood this, sir? And you will try to put it to use in your next attempt and see if it works or not. How many of you will try to use what I have told you? These are words that I never I mean, I only share with my close students, and I only share it on the last or second last day when they are feeling very afraid of the exam, and how will I get it there, sir? How will I achieve it there? That is how you do it. Look at your see. If I would have had your total biograph with me, what do I mean by a biograph? Is if you would have been studying with our institute, and if I had the results of all your papers right in front of me, I would have told you beforehand, Teja, that you must attempt these questions. You must attempt this many questions. This will be your score. Jayant, you should attempt these many questions. This will be your score. Ashrik, Brajesh, Jyoti, I've done this with all the students every year in my life. I we give them tests, weekly test, bi-weekly test, monthly test. We have the entire data with us in Excel sheets and all sorts of format. And from there, I can tell you exactly what is the range of marks that you can get. And I'll tell you better this many questions you must attempt. Everything is about strategy. To get the correct strategy, you should be able to get the marks that you desire. Okay, so that was it. I just wanted to tell you this just to get your nerves calm down. And we begin today's class. What is we are going to do in today's class is something known as work, power, and energy. Do you have any idea about work, power, and energy? Any idea about work, power, and energy? So basically, this chapter deals with the three concepts of work, power, and energy. All three obviously related to each other. What is work? Every one of you must be understanding work done by a force. Now you can call this work done as integral of F dot ds. Have you seen this? You must know this. F dot ds का integral. Work done is the integral of F dot ds. Yes or no? Do we know this? So it is the integral of, it is the dot product of force with displacement. Now, if this force is a constant force, this F will come out of the integral, and the integral of ds will simply become S. So for constant force, this formula becomes work done is F dot S. Do we know this formula? For a constant force, work done by a constant force is F dot S, where F stands for the force and S stands for the displacement. Can I have some reason that we understand this, sir? Can I have some reason that we understand this? Work done is F dot S for a constant force. Now, it is very simply given like this. Then you can have this dot product. So dot product is F into S into cos theta. You can write it as F cos theta into S, which is the component of force in the displacement direction multiplied by the magnitude of displacement. Or you can write it as F into S cos theta, which is force multiplied by the component of displacement in the direction of force. Do you all know this? The two different ways in which I can write this work done. F dot S, Fs cos theta, I can write it as F cos theta multiplied by S, or I can write it as F multiplied by S cos theta. You must be aware of this. This is F, this is your displacement, this angle is theta, this component becomes F cos theta. If this is F, this is displacement, this is theta, this component becomes F S cos theta. You can either multiply F cos theta with S, or you multiply S cos theta with F. Both are one and the same thing. Do we understand this? Special cases when theta is 90-degree, force and displacement are perpendicular to each other. In this case, normal reaction and displacement, weight and displacement, they are both perpendicular to each other. So in this case, work done by the force will be zero. Yes or no? Do we now know this? Work done by normal reaction on any body which is moving on a surface will be zero. Similarly, work done by tension on any body when it attached to a thread or a string will be zero if it is moving perpendicular to it. Yes or no? Work done by tension is also zero. We also use this same phenomena in something known as the virtual work principle. We got the relation between the various masses and various acceleration using the virtual work principle. At that time, I told you that the work done by tension in a string is always zero. Do we remember this? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this, sir? Work done by tension is always zero. Yes or no? Okay, great. These are simple cases. When is work done positive? If the angle between force and displacement is acute, Work done will be positive. It is obtuse. The work done would be negative, as in this case. If the angle is between 0 to 90, it is acute. Work done would be positive. It is obtuse. The work done would be negative. In some cases, these are simple cases. I think this question can be done. Work done by multiple forces. See, all these small questions, they will come in your exam, and I hope that you can do this. If there are more than one forces acting on a body, what will be the work done by all those forces combined? You can do it in many ways. Either you can find out the net force and then multiply or dot it with the displacement, or you can find out the work done by individual forces and add them together. Do we understand this? Both ways are same. There is no difference between both of the ways. Both the tariqas are same. In some way, in some question, you may apply work done by total forces in this fashion, or in some ways you can apply it this way. I always like this way first. Find out the work done by each and every force, and then add up all those works, and you get this your answer. Work done is a scalar quantity, so some work may be positive, some work may be negative. Can I have some reason that we understand this, sir? Okay. Now remember, these are very important points that I have collected over years. I would probably add one more if they are missing. Remember this formula. There could be a question based on these. Multiple choice, your wish. Work done is defined only for an interval. See, work done is not instantaneous. This is a pen. I'm holding this pen. What is the work I'm doing at this instant? There is no answer. There is no instantaneous work. There is instantaneous speed. There is instantaneous velocity. There is instantaneous acceleration. Power is also instantaneous. Work is not instantaneous. Work is always over a interval of time or over a displacement. Do we understand this? There is no term like instantaneous work. There is no instantaneous work ever. Do we understand this? For a particular displacement, work done is independent of a type of motion. I go from A to B. At some places, I might have stopped. At some places, I might have accelerated. At some places, I might have moved with a constant velocity. Work done does not depend on the motion in between. Work done only depends on how much force I've applied. Work done by a force only depends on the magnitude of the force and the displacement. Does not depend on whether the motion is constant motion or constant acceleration or variable acceleration. Do you understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? Please keep on raising hands so that I can move forward. For a particular displacement, work does independent of time. You move from A to B, whatever time you take, work done does not depend on time unless and until your force depends on time. So time dependent force is different, but as such, if the force is there, if it is not dependent on time, work done never depends on time. While several forces act, work done by a force for different does not depend on each other forces. I have this block, I have this body, several forces are acting on it. Work done by each force does not depend on the other force. Normal reaction will always do its work, whether or not other forces are present or not. This is also known as the principle of superposition of forces. We applied it for work. Work done by each force does not depend on each other. It is independent from reference frame. Force is independent of reference frame, but displacement depends on the reference frame, and hence work done depends on the frame of reference. Work done depends on the frame of reference. Remember that. If I'm watching an motion from ground, and if I'm watching the same motion from sitting on the top of other body, work done will be dependent on the reference frame. Maybe from ground reference frame I see a different work. Maybe from the top of the body I see different work. It differs because displacement differs, not because force differs. Effect of work is the change in kinetic energy. Whenever you are doing work, kinetic energy may change. Work done by a source or agent, that work is done by whosoever is applying that force. Unit of work, you must be knowing it. Erg is the CGS unit. Relation between joules and erg, I don't think you need to do the definition of work. You already know what is the definition of work. Okay, these are some important things. I think you know this. Work done by some real forces. So work done by gravity. You must be knowing work done by gravity. It does not depend on path. Gravity is a conservative force. Do you remember this conservative force thing? Work done by gravity does not depend on path. So if you have a block moving from here to here like this, or you have a block moving from here to here like this. It only depends on the final and the initial position, or the difference in height between the final and the initial position. Whether you go like this, or you go like this, or you go like this, or you drop straight away. Work done by gravity. If it is coming down, it is positive mgh. If it is going up, it is minus mgh. Do we remember this? Can I have some raise hand? Do you understand this, sir? It does not depend on path. It only depends on initial and final position. Coming down positive, going up negative. That's it. Work done by normal reaction. Work done by normal reaction. Normal reaction is always perpendicular to the body, to the surface on which the body is moving. Body will always move perpendicular to the body will always move parallel to the surface. So work done by normal reaction will always be equal to 0. Yes or no? Yes or no? Work done by normal reaction on this body is 0. Work done by normal reaction on this body is also 0. But work done by normal reaction between the two bodies which are in contact, that is not 0. Do we understand this? By ground on body is 0 because body is moving parallel to the ground and normal reaction force is perpendicular to the ground. That normal reaction work is 0. But these two bodies, A and B, are applying normal forces on each other. Their work done will never be equal to 0. And that is the question here. Can you solve this question? Example number 6. What I'll do is I'll erase everything that I've drawn. And this is a simple question here. Example number 6. Find the work done by F on A during 100-meter displacement. By F on A. How much will be the work done by F on A during 100-meter displacement? It is very simple. The value of F is 120. Displacement is 100. It is moving in a straight line. Angle between F and displacement is 0. F into 100 into cos of 0. So answer is 12,000 joules. Do you understand this? It's very simple. Work done by F on B during 100-meter displacement. It is 0. Why it is 0? F is acting on A. It is not acting on B. There is no force. If there is no force, there is no work done. Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? Work done by normal reaction on B and A during the given displacement. Now, when they are talking about normal reaction, they are not talking about normal reaction from the ground. They are talking about normal reaction from each other. Normal reaction from each other. Normal reaction from each other. So how do you find the value of that work done? You have to first find what is the value of this normal reaction. How do I get the value of this normal reaction? You can find the acceleration of the system. Total force divided by total mass will give you the acceleration of the system. The acceleration of the system is 4 meter per second square. From there, you can find the value of this normal reaction. Then you can find the normal reaction the work done on block B. Normal reaction is like this. Block B is also moving like this. So work done is positive. Normal reaction is coming as 40 newtons, 10 into 4, multiplied by the displacement. On body A, the normal reaction is working like this. On body B, it is working like this, acting like this. On body A, it is like this. So one work will be positive, other one will be negative. If you find the total work would be 0. Work done by normal reaction on B is 4,000 joules plus 4,000 joules. Work done by normal reaction on A is minus 4,000 joules. Do we understand this question? How we have calculated the work done by normal reaction of A and B on each other. What is the work done by that normal reaction? Can I have some reason that we understand this, sir? What is the important thing that we can understand from this? Work done by normal reaction on a system of A, B, 0. If I take A and B as a system, N or normal reaction becomes their internal force. Work done by internal force on a rigid system, total work done is 0. Because the system is not changing its configuration. Am I clear? If the configuration of the system is changing, what do you mean by configuration of the system is changing? If these two bodies are getting separated from each other, then the work done may not be 0. But if they are keeping in contact, the system is intact. That is why it is used, rigid system. The work done by internal forces on a rigid system will always be 0. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this, sir? Example number 7 is a simple question based on the formula for work These type of questions are coming these days. They can straight away be solved. A particle is displaced from point A to point B by applying a force this. Find the work done by force to move the particle from A to B. So A is the initial point, B is the final point. You can find out the displacement. How much is the displacement? 3 minus 1, 2i, 4 minus 2, 2j, 2i plus 2j, 2i plus 2j, 2i plus 2j is your displacement. You dot it with force. Force is 2i plus 3j. Displacement is 2i plus 2j. 2.2 is 4. 3.2 is 6. Rest of all the terms are 0. 6 plus 4 is 10. The answer is 10 units. Am I clear? Am I clear? Everyone got this answer? Example number 7. Okay. Now here they have given, and I want your thoughts on this. Is this particle moving in a straight line from A to B? Is it evident from the question that it is moving in a straight line? Can you say with definite purpose that it is moving in a straight line? You cannot say. It may have moved like this. It may have moved like this. It may have moved in any other fashion. Then you will say, sir, we have heard that work done may depend on path. Work done depends on path or not? I'll try to confuse you. Work done is F dot displacement, small displacement delta S. Does displacement depend on path? Yes or no? You will say, no, sir. Displacement does not depend on path. I go from A to B in any path. Displacement remains same. Force. If I have a force, force will not depend on path unless it's a path dependent force. Force, if it is a force, it will not depend on path. Then work done should not depend on path. Yes or no? Because displacement is path independent. Does that mean that work done is also path independent? What are your thoughts? Work done is path independent if the force is a conservative force. Have you heard the term conservative? Have you heard the term conservative force? Brijesh has heard. Examples of conservative force. Let us talk about the examples of conservative force. Gravity is a conservative force. Electrostatic force is a conservative force. Remember, I am not saying electric force. Electrostatic force is a conservative force. Spring force is a conservative force. Apart from these three forces, can you give me an example of any force which is a conservative force? Remember, any constant force is a conservative force. This is a constant force. It does not vary with distance or time. Any force that you see in this fashion, which is a constant force, every constant force is a conservative force. Will you remember this? Every constant force is a conservative force. Can I have some reason that we understand this? Have you heard this before? If you have heard it before, congrats to your teacher. He has taught you nicely. If you have not heard this before, well, you have now heard it. Every constant force is a conservative force. Can I have some reason that we understand this, sir? Every constant force is a conservative force. Now, looking at this force, it is a conservative force. So whether or not it moves in a straight line doesn't matter. Whether or not it moves in a straight line doesn't matter. The work done by this force will be path independent. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about work done by a constant force, because any constant force is a conservative force. Work done by a conservative force does not depend on path. Work done by non-conservative forces depend on path. Now, how will you explain it? Displacement does not depend on path. Work done by friction. For example, I move in a zigzag way. I start from A and I come back to A. What is my displacement? Anyone? What is my displacement? My displacement is 0. Frictional force is a constant force. Force is also constant. Displacement is also 0. What will be the work done by friction in this round path? Is it 0? Anyone tell me? Work done is a constant force. So if you say Sir, F is work done by F is a constant force, so F comes out. Dot integral of ds. Integral of ds is S, F dot S. Displacement is 0, so work done by friction would be 0 because F is constant and displacement is 0. The work done by friction has to be 0. Is the work done by friction 0? What is the problem here? Here, when you are moving, now, please listen to what I'm saying. Friction, the value is constant, but something about friction is not constant. If you talk about kinetic friction, if I move here, this was all about your colleges. For example, if you're moving in a path like this and the value of friction remains constant, the value of friction remains constant, but the direction of friction continuously changes. Yes, Jayannath, the direction of friction continuously changes. It's always opposite to your motion. So magnitude may be constant, but direction is continuously changing. And hence, it is not a constant force. And hence, if it is not a constant force, by default, and it is not gravitational force, and it is not electrostatic force, and it is not spring force, so by default, it becomes non-conservative. And therefore, the work done by this frictional force is not 0. So instead of remembering work done as F dot ds, especially in case of friction, remember it as F dot dl. But dl is the length of the integral of distance rather than displacement. Now you say, sir, dl is not a vector. See, to understand something, you probably have to understand it in a different way, which may not be correct. Are you getting my point? So friction is a non-conservative force. Work done by friction depends on path. If you get a question on this, why it depends on path, you can always say the direction is changing. It is not a constant force. Shall we move ahead? Have we understood up till here? The most difficult questions in this chapter are work done by friction and work done by non-conservative forces and work done by non-constant forces. We'll come to those one by one. We'll be spending some time in this chapter, maybe one more class, because I think that if a question comes from this chapter, which is based on work done, you should be able to solve it. Because rotation, you will not be able to solve it. Center of mass, you might not be able to solve it. But this one you can do is energy. Energy is the capacity to do work. We know that kinetic energy, half mv square. We all know this. Important points about kinetic energy. Now remember, whenever you talk about kinetic energy, you always say half mv square, where v stands for velocity. I never call it velocity. I always call it speed. Why do I call it speed? First of all, it is v dot v. It's a scalar. Velocity cannot be a scalar, so you cannot call it velocity. Remember, kinetic energy only changes by changing the speed, not by changing the velocity, because velocity can change in direction, but remain same in magnitude. If velocity changes in direction, kinetic energy does not change. So instead of calling kinetic energy as half mv square, where v is velocity, remember v square is v dot v. So you dot v with v, you don't get velocity, you get speed ka square. You get magnitude of velocity ka square. So instead of calling kinetic energy as half mv square, where v is velocity, always remember it as half mv square, where v is speed. Do we understand this? Can I have raised hand? You not understood this? I hope you understood this. It depends on the frame of reference because it depends on speed, which is the magnitude of velocity. Velocity depends on reference frame. So speed also depends on reference frame. And hence you have kinetic energy depend on the reference frame. Kinetic energy of a system of particles. Tung, very simple. Find the kinetic energy of each particle. You'll get the total kinetic energy of the system. This is the easiest way to do this. There is no other way to do. You cannot find the overall velocity of all particles and multiply it by the total mass. That will not give you the kinetic energy. You can do it in a different way. You can multiply the mass of the system by the velocity of the center of mass of the system, the square. That might give you the kinetic energy of the system. There are some things given which are not important. You must remember these two formulas. There might be a case where you get lucky and you get a question based on momentum and kinetic energy, relation between momentum and kinetic energy. If you're lucky, you will get it. I don't know if you are that lucky or not. Percentage increase. Now, these are the questions that it may look like it's a question of kinetic energy. It's not a question of kinetic energy. It's a question of errors and measurements. Whenever you get a question, increase by 20%, increase by 10%, how much will that increase? That is not a question of this chapter. That is a question of errors and measurement. Kinetic energy of particle is increased by 21%. What is the increase in the magnitude of linear momentum? You must be able to solve this. Do you know how to solve this? It's very simple. Kinetic energy is changed, so velocity is changed. You find the ratio of velocities and then you find the momentum. Nothing here. Example number 9. The block is the surface is smooth. Force acts for 2 seconds. Find the work done by force in 3 seconds. You will say, sir, force work done by force does not depend on time. And now you are giving a question where it depends on time. What are you saying, sir? One time you say this, another time you say this. See, here time is not making the difference. The displacement is making the difference. When I give you that statement was for same displacement in different times. It was not valid for different displacements in different times. Do you get me? When I have raised the answer that we are not confused, you are not confusing, you are not stupid, sir. You were telling us the right thing. Here we are asking the some other thing. You understand this, sir? Yes or no, sir? Rajesh, Jayan, Bojaju, Ashik, understand this? That was for same displacement in different intervals of time. These are different displacements in different intervals of time. So work done would be different. So how do you do it? F dot ds, you have to just find the value of ds or the displacement. Once you get the value of displacement, dot it, and you get the direction. Do we understand this? Kinetic energy after 3 seconds, simply you can do this. Work done by a variable force. I've already given you this formula. Yes or no, I've given you this formula. Now, this formula can be broken up like this, and the formula becomes like this. You know this formula or not? Or shall I elaborate on this formula? Do you know this formula? Work done from A to B. If fx dx integral plus fy dy integral plus fz dz integral. Do you know this? Can I have raised hands? You don't? You know this formula? Okay. Now, I hope I don't confuse you. I don't want to confuse you. Now, this formula is only valid in this form where you get them separately. This formula is only valid for conservative forces. This formula is only valid for conservative forces. If by chance, your formula, you get a non-conservative force, then what is your formula? For non-conservative force, your formula would look like this. And now we will say, sir, what is the difference in the two formula? And I won't be able to explain the difference. Probably I'll solve a question that will explain this difference. So this is the formula. This is the formula that is valid for non-conservative as well as conservative forces. But the formula given here is only valid for conservative forces. It will not be valid for non-conservative forces because the formula is valid, but you will not be able to solve it for a non-conservative force. And that is why I say that this formula is basically meant for conservative force, because you won't be able to solve it for non-conservative force. We come to that, don't worry. Let us first put this formula and solve example number 11. An object is displaced from its position Plana to Dimaka under the action of a force. Ding, 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 ding. Find the work done by this force. Can I have the work done by this force? Can I have? Can I have the formula? Can I have the answer for this one? You know how to solve this? Yes or no? You know how to solve this? Have you solved this? Okay, so how do you do this? This component is my fx, 3x square multiplied by dx. You integrate it. It is moving from 2i to 4i. So you integrate from 2 to 4 plus this is the y thing, 2y multiplied by dy. You integrate it from 3 to 6 and you get your answers. 3x square dx will be 3x cubed by 3. Jayant has given me the answer and that is absolutely correct. Is this force a conservative force? It is definitely not a constant force because 3x square, it depends on the value of x, 2y, it depends on the value of y. This is not a conservative force. This is definitely not a conservative force. This is definitely not a constant force. Sorry. It is definitely a conservative force. How do you find whether a force is conservative or not? Find out the answer for this one and we will discuss it in the next class. How do you find out a force is conservative or not? Do you know how to find out a force? Whether it's a conservative force or not? Okay. You know it? Okay. I'll ask you this question in the next class and we'll discuss in the next class whether this force is conservative or not. Now you have obviously got the answer for this one. Now let me change the question slightly. I'm going to do this on this sheet which I have for you. I do this on this sheet. Let me create one more sheet here. Now let me have the force like this. Now my force is, let me think what should be my force. My force is 2xy I hat plus x square j hat. And the body is displaced from where to where? Let me see. Let me put the same 2i plus 3j to 2 to 4, 3 to 6. Okay, let me put the same thing here. Let me put the same thing here. Okay, where is this whiteboard? Okay. Let me put the same thing here. It has been displaced from 2i plus 3j, 2i comma 3j to 4i comma 6j. What is the work done by this force? My force is like this. Can you get me the answer for this one? I've changed something. Very small thing I have changed. Now, can you find out the work done by this force? Can you find out the work done by this force? Can you find out the work done by this force? Anyone, are you trying? Anyone, are you trying? Ashrik, Bijesh, Jayant, Bhojraju, are you trying this question? Can you find out the work done by this force? Do you want a hint? Jayant gave me the answer 83. That was for the previous question, I think. How do I solve this? Anyone would like to say anything? Or shall I do it? Okay. Let me just write it. Work done is integral of f dot ds. If I dot it with ds, you will get this 2xy dx plus x square dy. You will get it like this. Now, if I segregate it as what I had done in the previous question, so my work done will look like this. It's integral of 2xy dx plus integral of x square dy. Now, the problem here is I have dy here, but I have x squared in this. Either I should be able to replace x by y or dy by dx. To do that, I must know the relation between x and y, and I don't know it. The problem in the second one is I have dx, but I have a y coming here. Again, either I have to change y into x or dx into dy. To do that, I must know the relation between x and dx, or x and y, or dx or dy. I don't know that. So I can't calculate this integral. Or can I? Or can I? And do this small thing. Instead of breaking it up into two integrals, let me keep this integral only. And let me solve this integral alag-alag. Integral of 2xy dx. Let me solve this keeping y as a constant. It will be 2x squared by 2 into y. So basically it becomes x squared y. It becomes x squared y. If I have this one, I solve it again, x squared dy. X squared dy. X is constant, so this becomes integral x squared y. So both of these, when integrated separately, give me the same value. That gives me the hint. Basically, if I differentiate x square y, I differentiate x square y, so this will give me this. First, I will differentiate x square 2x into dx multiplied by y plus I have to differentiate y, keeping x constant, x square into derivative of y, which is exactly what I have here. That means if I take differential this side and I put integral on this side, integral of the right hand side will be the left hand side. So integral of this entire thing becomes x squared y. And now I can put the limits 2, 3 to 4, 6. First put the value of x as 4 and y as 6. Then put value of x as 2 and y as 3, and you will get your answer. Am I clear? You will get your answer. Now, coming back to what I said. Here. Coming back to what I said here. This formula is valid for conservative force. This formula I told you, it is valid for non-conservative and conservative. So that will make you think that the second force that I gave you was non-conservative. It was also conservative. Actually, when I make this formula, I just wanted to confuse you. When I make this formula, this is only for conservative forces. If the force is non-conservative, we cannot apply a formula. We'll have to look at the path. We have to look at the path and then solve the question for non-conservative. Non-conservative forces cannot be done with any formula. So whether I apply this formula in this way or whether I'm applying this formula in this way, whenever I am finding out the work done by a force, and I've told you with an example, 2 examples basically. These formulas are only valid when the forces are conservative because they don't depend on path. I don't have to look for the path. Now, the first force that you have done may look like a conservative one. The second that I gave you may look like a non-conservative one, but both are conservative forces. And that is what you have to tell me. How do you find out whether a force is conservative or not? If the force is conservative, which would be the case in most of the question that you get, you can use either this formula or in worst cases, advanced JEE, this formula, but both the forces are conservative. If you find that the force is non-conservative, then you must know the path. That is the only way of doing the question, by knowing the path of that force. Else we cannot find out the work done by that force by any formula. Are you getting my point? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? This formula that I have created are only valid for conservative forces. The first force that we did here, 3x square I plus 2yj, was a conservative force. The second force that I gave you, 2xyi plus x square j, was also conservative. I use the same formula whether I break it up into pieces or I take it as one complete whole. That is only valid for a conservative force. If the force is non-conservative, when they say variable force, this formula is valid for a variable force, but this integral becomes part dependent integral. This integral is part dependent. So what they have said is not wrong. The formula is here, but then I cannot do it in the way that I have written it. If the force is non-conservative, we have to look at the path. Without path, we cannot do the question. Am I clear with this final burst that I had left in me? Okay. So in the next class, what I'll do is I'll tell you how to find out whether the force is conservative or not. I'll tell you if the force is non-conservative, look at the path and do the question. We'll do that in the next class. I hope to see you there. I hope you enjoyed the class for today. I hope you learned something new. I hope if you knew that already, I hope that I could rekindle the same joy that you had when you did it for the first time, because whenever you're doing thing for the first time, either it gives you a lot of joy, then you will enjoy it for your entire life, or it may give you a lot of pain. You may at first dislike it, but then you start liking it. Same like ragging. There was a lot of ragging in my college. First, we disliked it, but then we knew that this is the only way that you can become friends. Anyways, I leave you because ragging is nowhere. Now, I leave you with this thought. I hope that you would use what I've told you in the paper, and I hope you can make the best out of it. I wish you all the best for the exams, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, whenever they are. I know since you have exam, that is why the attendance is less. You will have this video lecture recorded in any case. You can see it anytime that you wish. You have this sheet with you as well. So bye bye from my end. See you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Bye bye.